Hello! I've done another story. I did this one a while ago, but I decided to rewrite it because it was fairly terrible, like a lot of repeated words and a lot of really terrible analogies. Like, I think an analogy in the other one that I had was, my stomach felt like it was full of acid, and then I reread it and I went, that's because it is full of acid. This one doesn't have a name, but it's set in the same AB universe as the other one, and I've used the same characters just because, I don't know, they're familiar. So yeah, and the central theme of this story is, you know how I mentioned that in the AB universe you're either little or big, and if you're little then you're not supposed to go out by yourself, otherwise bad things happen. So that's what the story is about. I hope you enjoy, and I'm going to be uploading it in a couple of parts because it's a 10-page story right now and I haven't finished editing the whole thing, so it's probably going to be a bit long, so I'm going to do it in like 5-10 minute increments. Okay. I woke up to the crackle of the monitor. The sound always jarred me out of sleep, but I usually relaxed as soon as I realized what it signified. Not this morning. No part of me wanted to leave the security of the nursery that day, but soon Daddy would walk through that door and switch on the light. I whimpered briefly at the thought, and I began my simple morning ritual, one hand hunting for my errant pacifier, the other rubbing, I do that all the time, the other rubbing the crumbly traces of sleep off my face. Once located, I popped it back between my lips and I chewed nervously. He seemed to be taking a while longer to appear this morning, or maybe it was just in my head. The anticipation was killing me, and I feared I'd chew straight through the thick plastic if he didn't appear soon. I stretched and rolled onto my stomach, feeling the layer of padding beneath me as I nuzzled into my pillow, attempting to bury myself to hide from the disquieted feeling that was currently filling my stomach. The crackling had stopped, and I groaned inwardly. I knew what this meant. "Good morning, Princess," I heard, along with the creak of the door. As my lips were currently wrapped around my pacifier and my face was pressed into the pillow with such force that it had turned flat, I could only manage to strangle sort of sound as a greeting. "Baby?" I heard the concern in his voice. "What's wrong?" He was beside the crib now, quickly unlocking the tall sides and sliding it down. I made the same sound and drew my knees up to my chest, still chewing, still burying myself. I felt his hand on my shoulder as he gently turned me onto my back. Then he took 2 fingers and, placing them on my chin, moved my head so my eyes were locked onto his. I reached up to my mouth and removed the pacifier, which, as I predicted, now sported a large, ragged hole. "Hi, Daddy," I said softly, and looked at my hands. "Hi, Angel. What's wrong?" I knelt up and put my arms around his shoulders, nuzzling into the crook of his neck. "Don't want to go," I mumbled, but he heard me perfectly. "Oh, baby," he said gently, and rubbed my back. "Why not?" I didn't answer, I just clung to him. I heard him sigh softly as he hefted me up into his arms and carried me over to the changing table, which he set me down on. "You have to go to school, baby. Daddy has to go back to work." "No," I protested. "You have to stay with me." He leant down and kissed me on the forehead. "It's only a few hours. I'll be there to pick you up before you know it." He was right. As soon as I'd been changed and dressed, I stepped out of the apartment, snack in hand, ready for my first day of school. In no time. The trip between home and school wasn't that long, and before I knew it, I was standing on the edge of a wide, colourful playroom. "Hi there! You must be Vanessa. I'm Michaela." I blinked at the woman who was now kneeling in front of me. She grinned at me broadly as if she knew a great secret that she couldn't wait to share with me, and I smiled back, shyness put aside for the moment. Her smile was kind of infectious. She straightened up, and I turned my attention back to the room I was standing in. It featured perhaps 12 other children and the biggest selection of toys I had ever seen. Beanbags littered the floor, and bookcases lined the walls. Then I noticed that outside, through a pair of glass doors, stood a play fort shaped like a large boat. I barely contained a shriek of excitement and tugged on Daddy's hand, which I was still clinging tightly to. Daddy, look! I beamed up at him and pointed outside. He smiled back, gently chuckled, and gave my hand a squeeze. You like the boat, Vanessa? Michaela asked me, to which I nodded. It's almost time for outside play, so why don't you go play and we'll all go outside in a little while. How does that sound? As I gazed uncertainly at Daddy, the excitement I'd previously felt melted away all at once when I shifted from one foot to the other. He sensed that I was uncomfortable and knelt in front of me, taking both of my shoulders and looking me squarely in the eye. Baby, you're going to be fine, okay? I'll get back to you before you know it. But Daddy, I stammered and fought hard to keep from crying. He embraced me tightly and whispered in my ear, Daddy loves you, Princess. You're going to have a wonderful time. Wonderful indeed. I watched him drive away through the front window, and I felt my bottom lip quiver, though I had no time to feel alone, as Michaela had taken my hand and was leading me into the heart of the room. Once there, she pressed a stuffed pony into my grasp, ruffled my hair, and left to attend to some other apparently pressing matter. I swallowed hard and sat down in the middle of the fluorescent green carpet. Idly, I made the pony gallop in a small circle, then rear up and neigh quietly. That's not a neigh, came a sudden voice in my ear. I turned and was greeted with the extremely freckled face of a small boy. After the freckles, the first thing I noticed about him was that he was filthy. Grass stains and small patches of dirt covered the front of his jeans and some other things that I couldn't quite identify, and they were thoroughly ripped in many places. Plus, the remains of what appeared to be canned spaghetti dotted his wide t-shirt. Seriously, you could barely make out the dinosaur that was emblazoned on the front of it. At least, I think it was a dinosaur. It's more like this. He grabbed my pony and positioned it, then threw back his head and whinnied loudly. So loudly, in fact, that a cluster of girls playing nearby put their hands over their mouths and giggled. I found myself doing the same. I, the boy began grandly, am Aiden James Phillips. Who are you? Vanessa, I said. Just Vanessa? Aiden James Phillips asked quizzically, cocking his head to one side like a small spotted dog. That's not a name. No, I said crossly. It's Vanessa Henbury. The boy began to laugh. As he did so, he dropped the stuffed animal and fell flat on his back onto the carpet. It seemed that this boy liked to throw his whole self into actions he performed, whether it was imitating a horse or laughing at my name. Hey! I scowled at him and snatched the pony back. It's not funny! Aiden sat up and gave me a goofy grin. It is. It is, and you know it. I poked my tongue out at him, but I felt a small smile creeping onto my face. He crawled over and sat down beside me. I like you, Vanessa Henbury, he said, nodding, and continued, I can always tell right away if I like someone. Well, I think you're silly, Aiden James Phillips. I'll tell you a secret. He beckoned me closer, and I leaned forward to hear him whisper, At that moment, Michaela clapped her hands and announced, outside playtime! Then, all at once, everyone shot to their feet and cried out with excitement. Some kids were running in circles in anticipation of what was to come, and one girl even fell over in the rush to the door. I tried my hardest not to stare and laugh. Not that I could stare and laugh, even if I wanted to. Aiden was yanking me towards the door. Hard. Come on, outside, he hollered, and continued to tug until I dropped the pony and pulled my pinafore down over my padded backside. As was always the case, it had ridden up during my short bout of indoor play. I was nervous to be moving from what had so quickly become my comfort zone, but Aiden was chattering animatedly in my ear. This, coupled with the buzz of excitement produced by all the other children, was helping me to calm down just a fraction. But in the back of my mind the fear was still there, because I still longed to be anywhere but school. At home with Daddy most of all. When the doors were open, Aiden, predictably, ran straight towards the large boat and commenced climbing. I silently cursed myself for insisting on wearing my new short dress and no cover that morning, and scampered up some rigging which apparently served as the boat's entrance. From my vantage point on the bow, I had a view of the whole playground. There was a sandbox in the left-hand corner where 4 of my new classmates were already digging. A seesaw sat between the boat and the left wall and was currently occupied. Near the back wall, behind the boat, was a swing set. Michaela pushed a little girl while a male attendant attempted to, presumably, teach a small boy to swing on his own. 2 other boys, Aiden and myself, were perched atop the boat. Aiden and one of the other boys were engaging in a mock sword fight, while the other one mimed binoculars with his hands and surveyed the playground along with me. That's when I noticed it. There, on the right-hand wall of the garden, was a gate. My ticket to freedom! The boat was considerably higher than the fence, so I could see that the gate led to a car park. My heart began to pound in my chest. I quietly scurried down the ropes and, checking that the coast was clear, hightailed over to the gate. I disappeared out of it and into the car park before anybody noticed I was gone. Wow, that was easier than I thought. Or so I had thought. Hey! I whipped around to see a very exasperated Aiden staring back at me. What are you doing? He said. Gotta go find my daddy. I don't want to be here, I whispered urgently. I don't care what you're doing, he said, folding his arms. I just can't believe you'd escape without me. End of chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed that, and there will be more coming soon, probably tomorrow. So don't hold your breath, because that's quite a few hours, and you might die, which would not be a fun thing. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later. See ya.